wants. They don't want to own a railroad in some country, some random little. Local governments are taking money from households. While China is setting record-breaking export numbers and expanding as much as possible in manufacturing, China is also facing a real estate crisis and a consumer base that is just not spending enough. Trouble is brewing in China. The world's second largest economy is facing slowing growth, and political leaders are meeting this week to discuss how to fix the issues. And in this video, we're going to discuss the slowdown that's going on in China, what exactly is happening, and why is it important to the rest of the world. So before we continue, if you like content like this, leave a comment down below letting me know what you think. Make sure you subscribe for more content like this and hit that thumbs up button for me. The Chinese economy is huge, massive, second largest in the entire world, only surpassed by the United States. Economic data through the spring in China shows the domestic economy is sharply slowing down. Numbers show the economy growing at 0.7% in the second quarter, numbers which are well below anybody's projections. And with such a complex economic system, some areas are showing major signs of weakness, while others not as much. While China is setting record-breaking export numbers and expanding as much as possible in manufacturing, China is also facing a real estate crisis and a consumer base that is just not spending enough. China's real estate issues are getting worse. Consumers are just not spending enough money domestically. And a big reason why consumers are not spending enough money domestically is because local governments are taking money from households. Now, feeling or facing this real estate issue, these local governments, they have taken money in the form of taxes. They have raised the price of natural gas, water, everyday services that we get. You think about sewer and garbage collection, things of that nature. They have hiked prices because they are feeling the effects locally. So in order to compensate, they pass it on to the consumer. Well, now the consumer has less money to spend. They are being more cautious in the way that they spend, and it's kind of having a trickle down effect. That's why you're seeing these very, very low economic numbers as far as what China is outputting. Now, they're selling a lot to the rest of the world, but internally, at its base, at home, there is these type of issues going on. The real estate crisis is just continuing to get worse, and a lot of it is being passed on to these consumers. And consumers, and think about it, anywhere you go, think about in a recession, when people have less money in their pockets, they are going to spend less. That's less money that's going to businesses and business owners. That's less money that's generated in the form of taxes and other revenues, and all of that is just, from an economic standpoint, that is what you never want to see take place. In order to have a healthy economy, you need good amounts of consumer spending. Everything from entertainment, dining, out and about at shops, buying things, buying cars. Local economy, they thrive on these things. In order to have a good local economy, this needs to take place, and it seems like it is not taking place, and it is continuing to get worse in China, and they're facing other issues. There's commercial real estate issues. 20 million or so unfinished pre-sold houses. China's seen a decline in consumer spending domestically, and certain industries that have created millions of jobs are facing hard times. To compound these issues, large construction companies and large companies in China do a lot of business overseas as well. China is a big lender to developing nations. Think about some developing countries in Africa. China has been a huge lender to them, and the construction companies a lot of times do the work as well. Think about stuff like building roads, water lines, sewer lines, railroads, just infrastructure in general, building up these countries. Well, how do they do it? They do it in the form of lending. Big money gets generated this way, and they've been having issues with repayments. People have been paying late, sometimes not paying at all, and maybe you've seen it in the news where certain people have not repaid China. Now China owns land and they own certain infrastructures around the world. Well, that's not necessarily what the country of China wants. They don't want to own a railroad in some country, some random little country. They wanted the money for building the railroad, and obviously in the loan documents it's put in a way to where China confiscates it, but they don't necessarily just want to own this railroad and own this water line and sewer. No, that's not the purpose of it. These are issues that have come up from lending to developing countries, and a lot of these companies that have done a lot of business overseas, made a lot of money that way, they're pulling back from that side of the business, which is generating less revenue. It's less jobs for people, and they're kind of turning locally and within China, and China's subsidizing and helping companies to get by. And the country is trying to do as much as they can, but a lot of these large businesses that did a lot of business internationally are starting to scale back the international side of it and continuing just to do as much as they can domestically. So in conclusion, China is facing a big slowdown economically. Consumer spending is becoming a big problem within the country. Businesses are feeling it, the local economy, local governments are feeling it. Big companies are pulling back from a lot of international business that they did before, and the country government leaders, they are meeting this week to try to figure out how to move forward so that this doesn't become a huge global issue. If you like content like this, leave a comment down below letting me know what you think. Make sure you subscribe for more content like this and hit that thumbs up button for me.